All right, guys, welcome in. This is the episode that everybody's been waiting for. Evan, Brendon, what was the name of your YouTube channel? Because it's long gone now.
Combo Capital. It's on a bit of a hiatus. It's not gone, but not forgotten. Maybe it makes a comeback.
Why are you taking a hiatus? What happened? What's been up with you lately?
No, I don't know, man. I usually just blame Chad for everything. So I'm just gonna go with Chad fucked shit up. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse. I apologize.
We're cursing friendly.
Yeah. I always just treated podcasting kind of like a hobby, and we would skip cards and stuff like that. And it was a good kind of like test run. And we'll bring it back at some point, but
what about just you gambling in general? It seemed like you were really on it for a while, and then the last few weeks has been it's been a little quiet over there.
Yeah. I had a real good summer. I'm having a good year. I'm up 78 units on the year. I had my best year in like my 4 years of tracking bets, 18% return on investment. So I'm having a really good year. Once school started, I'm a high school history teacher, so I kind of got busy. I'm in grad school again, and I don't know, I've just got a little burnout on it, but I got a lot of plays this card, so I'm excited to chalk it up.
Well, I'm glad that whatever this podcast did, it motivated you to start watching tape again. I can understand that, man. This is year 2 or year 3 of me doing this full time and full of piss and vinegar. And I can tell you, once you win big or you have other shit going on in your life, it starts to melt your brain just a little bit. I hopefully if this guy will sign the contract, I have a fight coming up November 19th. So now my attention is going to strength conditioning, boxing, training, all that shit. So it leaves me a lot less time to sit here and watch women's MMA.
Yeah. So you get it, man. You were at practice earlier. How's training going?
Well, it's going good. I think I fucking broke my hand. So if anybody knows my opponent, tell him to watch this episode. He'll know what's up. No, it's going good, man. This is going to be a great one. Hopefully for APFC on Fight Pass, make my debut. I'm going to fight for literal pennies just so I can get a fight because, I don't think it's been tough. I either have to fight the best of the best guys or I can't fight anybody because they don't want to fight me. So I'm stuck in limbo. I want to start fighting these 45-year-old guys like all the other blue chippers, man. What the hell?
I hear you. Well, let's make some money this weekend, and it's all good.
All right. Well, then let's kick it off. No need to waste any time. So let's kick it off with, this is my fight of the night here. Ashley Yoder versus Emily Ducote. Now, you are the guest. I'll let you go ahead first on this one.
Thank you, brother. I'm honored to kick it off with Ashley Yoder versus Emily Ducote. First of all, I didn't know Yoder was still employed by the UFC until like this week. She's 8-8 as a pro. She's 3-7 in her UFC career. I listened to her interview with James Lynch, and she just signed a new 4-fight contract. So that's the state of the UFC right there. Is 8-8 fighters, 3-7 UFC record, signing new deals. So, look, I think Ducote's got her covered. It's not a hot take. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this. I think throws more volume on the feet, crisper striking. Ashley Yoder, I'm not going to disrespect anybody's game. I give her credit. She's going to come out. She's going to look to take the back. She's going to be aggressive. But I think she's up against it here, coming off a big layoff. So, I don't know. Minus 400, I'm not interested, but I'd pick her to win.
Man, this is really refreshing, Evan. You don't want to diss anybody's game. You're being very polite. I'm not used to these takes from you. What has gone into you? Is it because it's the school year again?
It could be that. Yeah. Among other things too. Turned over a new leaf. You know what I mean?
I like that, man. We all got to find peace a little bit. I think you and I had our issues back in the day, and I was just full of rage too. It'll take me a while to chill out a little bit.
For those who don't know, Brendon and I have a pretty checkered past. We've had our ups and downs, but look at us. Here we've come full circle. So the vibes are good.
Squashing it. Hey, I like squashing it. You know what? It's funny. I know, I've watched a few of your podcasts before. At first, I wanted to be friends with you guys. Then you guys got a little squirrely, a little funky. But I watched, a few of yours, and all your podcasts are super short, right? They're all 45 minutes to an hour max on a 15-fight card, right? You guys cruise through them. The only podcast I think you guys did that was really long was the Manpreet one, right? The Lock of the Night one.
That was a fun day.
Yeah, I reached out to him the other day. And I just thought it was funny because I'm in a position now, like I could give a fuck what anybody says. Like I made my money, I did fine, so I don't really care what how people think of me. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, we should talk. It's been about a year since everything went down. Let's bridge the gap. Let's get on and talk. I got a lot of shit going on in my life too. I thought it'd be fun, and he was like, nope, not doing that, not bridging the gap. I won't talk to anybody from the community. I was like, all right, man, I can only try to help so much, is what it is.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
All right, yeah. As far as this one, I'm a big Yoder fan because when I first started gambling, I didn't start gambling that long ago. Obviously, my gambling style is still that of somebody who's day one. Just throwing crazy parlays, doing all kinds of shit. It works for me. I like it. One of the first bets that I ever made, big bets. I flew to Vegas overnight. Horrible experience. I guess I didn't realize that all casinos were not 24 hours, and I was trying to mix with Bellator and UFC and all this shit. But my biggest play that I ever made was at the time Jinyu Frey against Ashley Yoder. It's like this is easy money, and unfortunately, it probably lost me more money in the long run because I continue to bet Jinyu Frey, and she just continues to lose. So you give some, you take some. I don't think this fight's close. Ducote legitimately is UFC level, legitimately is very good. Good leg kicks, good jiu-jitsu, good wrestling. She's very good everywhere and just got beat by two, ultra vets of the game. Yeah, I mean, the price is the price. It is what it is. But I think that Ducote cruises here. Yoder's kind of a squirrely, funky, not so positionally great woman. So I didn't spend a lot of time on this one. So M. Ducote for us both. All right. So next up, actually, you're going to have to go again on this one. So next up, we have Chris Gutierrez versus Heili Alateng. I know you have some pretty pointed thoughts on this one. So what you got?
Yeah. I played Pedro Munoz over Gutierrez recently at like plus 200, and that was a multi-unit play, and that cashed. I just can never lay big numbers on Chris Gutierrez just because of his style, which obviously he wants to circle on the outside. He's a phenomenal kicker, and I like that aspect to a person's game. But when that's kind of what they got, I struggle to lay, like, he's sitting at minus 400 on Bet Online right now. That is an outrageous money line. So Heili Alateng is at plus 300 on Bet Online. I played him earlier at plus 270, and I'm like, that's a crazy line. And I only put a unit down, so I'll average in if it keeps getting wider and wider. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I think that he should be the favorite in the fight, but I probably capped Gutierrez around like 55 to 57% implied. So I think the line is just absolutely insane. Now, one fight I'll point to with Heili Alateng where he really struggled with kicks was the Casey Kenny fight. That was a few years ago, but Casey Kenny lit him up with kicks, lit up his legs, his body. So Gutierrez could cover this number. Casey Kenny covered this number. It's just, I have a hard time. Now, Casey Kenny, the difference is he was coming forward. He was backing up Heili Alateng. I don't see that here. I see Gutierrez circling on the outside, throwing his kicks, which he's very good at. He doesn't, like, he's got hands, but it's not like he's going to threaten anybody with his boxing combinations, So unless Heili Alateng like runs into a knee like Edgar did or something like that, I don't see how Gutierrez covers this number. So I have a unit on Heili Alateng, and I'll add a little bit if this gets wider. I definitely think he's the side, so I'll pick him to win. I've made good money against Chris Gutierrez, so I'm happy to go back to the well here.
Man, I really like having you on this because I do love Santino, and Santino's an excellent fight analyst, but he is not a gambler whatsoever. So this is really good to have, this side of things. Just as far as Heili, I love Heili. That's my guy. Every time I come to the gym, hey, he goes out of his way to say what's up to me. I've been training with Heili a lot, actually, for this camp. At first, he was supposed to fight Ronnie Yaya, so I was little Ronnie Yaya for him. I'll say this about Heili. Heili is. He's a fucking phenomenal wrestler. Like, phenomenal wrestler. I train with a lot of guys that are really good wrestlers, and very few of them can take me down or control me or hold me. Very few I can't take down. Heili is like my kryptonite. Jiu-jitsu wise, that's my zone. That's for me. But taking that fucker down, he's an amazing wrestler, and he's so strong. He manages range, distance super well. He hits hard. There's a lot to like about Heili. I really think it just depends on the game plan. The only thing I will say that concerns me just a little bit here is just the size. Heili is like smaller than me. And Gutierrez, I know, is like probably an inch or two taller than me, and he's filled out a little bit. I legitimately think that like if Heili really wanted to, he could probably be a flyweight. So I think he fights above his potential most of the times because he's fighting, I think, maybe a weight class up. Maybe he's too dense to make it, but that's the only thing. I love Heili. That's my guy. I love training with him. He's a tough fucking wrestler. And at plus 300, I couldn't believe how wide the line kept getting. It's just insane to me.
Yeah, man. All the squares parlaying Chris Gutierrez are going to have a rough Saturday, hopefully. Now, yeah, but to your point, like he was Gutierrez took this on short notice because Alateng was training for Yaya for this card. So that's another.
No, it wasn't short notice. He was supposed to fight Montel Jackson last week.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about that. So they're both training for a fight. Yeah.
Now, do you think he beats Montel?
I had a bet on Montel.
Yeah, I think Montel was going to piece him up. It's just a really hard thing because it's such a different style, especially fucking Ronnie Yaya to Chris Gutierrez and Montel Jackson, who's all hands and is fucking 7 feet tall, versus Heili, who's just a fire hydrant. But yeah, I like that. Heili's my boy. All right, next up we have, this is going to be, I think, everybody's fight of the week here.
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, so we have Irina Alekseeva versus Melissa Dixon. I'm going to go first on this one. This one, to me, man, I got to just understand what I'm not good at. I try with women's MMA, and I don't have a handle on it at all. It's just, it escapes me because the same tangibles, right? The striking, the wrestling, the same things I see with men oftentimes doesn't matter. And I tend to always choose the more technical fighter, the more safe fighter, makes less mistakes. And honestly, half the time that doesn't fucking matter. I mean, look at Stephanie Edgar versus Alekseeva in the first fight. And by the way, we need to make like a tribute, like a compilation video of all the insane taps. Stephanie Edgar's taps, both of her taps in the UFC are fucking crazy. Matt Schnell doing the two-handed tap, that's got to go in there. Like, I got a running catalog of just insane early taps, weird taps, just bullshit. I think this fight comes down to this. Melissa Dixon is not great. I don't think she's phenomenal. I think she doesn't make a lot of mistakes. She's a big body. She wrestles, has a general awareness of positions, where Alekseeva is almost kind of the opposite. She's willing to go all out in round one. And, she's fought 3 rounds before. She's done well before and pushed the pace. But in that Edgar fight, it looked like she was going to be round one or bust. Like, she was huffing and puffing already, throwing big shots, doing crazy shit, rolling for knee bars. At such a close line, for me, I think Alekseeva doesn't necessarily take it serious. I really think she has the athletic ability and the technical ability to run through Melissa Dixon. Like, if she fought a smart game plan and you told me, hey, she's going to fight composed, she's going to maintain her energy and her levels through 3 rounds, I'd be all over Alekseeva, right? She throws in combinations pretty decently. She's got a huge judo background, and her submissions are fine. Honestly, for me, I'm going to take just the more solid fighter, just Melissa Dixon, who's not really phenomenal anywhere, gets tagged quite a bit. Her wrestling is not perfect, but she doesn't make a ton of mistakes. She's just kind of there, almost like a JJ Aldrich, I guess, in a sense, like just kind of there. She's in the pocket, doesn't do a ton wrong. I don't love this fight. I think it's super volatile, just depending on what Alekseeva does. And I see a lot of people on Alekseeva and not a lot on Dixon. But for me, I'm going to go Dixon with pretty low conviction here.
Yeah, bro. I went into taping this one with an eye on betting Dixon, just because our boy Pepe had bet Dixon,
but he thinks with his Dixon. That's why. For
sure. I do value his opinion, but he got an opener. He got a crazy open, like plus 170 on Dixon or something. So he could just free roll and if he wants to profit on, the fight. But after tape, I came away thinking it's dog or pass. Ultimately, what I ended up doing is playing does not go to decision at plus 110. I think it's, like you said, a very volatile fight. I mean, this Irina Alekseeva, she's like all gas, no brakes in the first round. And her striking is not great. It's like, here's what I'll say. For WMMA, that type of stuff works. She's going to do a lot. She's going to be in your face.
It's not King Casey striking, but it's solid.
Yeah. She's going to throw, and she's going to land hard, and she's going to stay in your face. She disrespects her opponents on the feet. Whereas I think that's going to work here. Melissa Dixon, she's there, right? She exists. She is a good grappler, I think, from top position. She seems to be heavy on top. Striking, though, doesn't really do it for me. She's kind of just plodding, flat-footed. She's just there to be hit. I think she's going to struggle early on the feet. She's going to need a takedown. But this chick, Irina Alekseeva, she sets a pace early that might be tough to sustain over 15 minutes. So I think somebody ends up getting finished here. And that's crazy because it's WMMA, but like plus 110, I just think it's super volatile. I think this Irina chick is going to go hard early, land good stuff. And Dixon is tough. Like, she was getting beat up by that Russian chick in Ares FC, Daria. She was a big underdog there, and I think Pepe cashed on her there, so now he's in love with her. But she was getting landed on big time. But she's tough. She fought through it, got the takedown, moved to mount. There's 30 seconds in the round, and Robin Black's like, oh, she's really going to have to do a lot to steal back this round. And she just finishes her with ground and pound in like the last second of the round. Pretty nasty ground and pound. So I think if Dixon gets on top, consolidates position, moves to mount, I think Irina's in trouble. And I also think Irina might gas out if she doesn't get her out of there early. She sets a crazy pace. But I think it's dog or pass on the money line. I like it not to go the distance. That's where I'm at.
I think I'm going to go guns blazing on this one. I'm just going to say Dixon, fuck it. Because Alekseeva is so willing to throw herself back on her back and do shitty judo things. I think that Dixon's got these weird fat hips, and I don't mean that like offensively, but like a lot of people have these stupid fat hips that doesn't work with judo, right? Judo is all about you gotta get people moving, right? And it's throwing them. Dude, judo just doesn't fucking work in MMA. It just doesn't. It's not a good base.
Yeah, Dixon fought a judoka in Ares FC, and she would like get thrown but end up on top, kind of like.
Yeah, you just kind of wrestle up or sink your weight down. And I guess this may be a good comparison too. Dixon reminds me of my teammate Julia Budd a little bit, like just like kind of exists and is there, and then you're going to make a mistake and I'll just kind of capitalize on that. And I think that Alekseeva, like you said, she's going to go all out. Her last fight, she just looked like she was willing to just give everything she had in round one, and in round two, she was probably going to quit. I mean, and what's funny about that fight, actually, the Edgar fight, I'm so low on Edgar. I am not an Edgar fan whatsoever. And I actually text Alekseeva's manager when I first saw the matchup, and I said, this has got to be the lock of the card, right? This is like the lock of the century here. Alekseeva's going to kill Edgar. And then I seen everybody on Twitter posting like her, doing the hair thing and the finger guns and looking all crazy. And then it changed my mind. So sometimes you got to just stick with your original thoughts, your guns. Don't fall for the trap. All right. Next up, we have, let's see. All right. Terrance McKinney versus Brendon Marotte. All right. I went first. You go ahead on this one.
All right. I didn't tape this dude. I did some wiki capping, though. I mean, he's a New England cartel guy. His last opponent was 11-20. And this dude won with a rear naked choke. Super short notice. I didn't tape him. I didn't get to it. But Terrance McKinney fights are pretty, the approach is usually the same. Like McKinney round one has a good chance of getting him out of there with a back take and a rear naked choke or just landing a nuke on the feet. Or he dies in round two because he just melts. And, so I think a live bet is always the move here, especially given the price. But I didn't really get around to taping this guy.
Yeah, not on this one. I mean, at a certain point, it just comes genetics and fight ability. This guy, Marotte, I watched that one fight. That's all I watched, just the 30 seconds or the 1 minute, whatever it was. He's fine. He's kind of a tough guy, swings hard in the pocket. Just at the end of the day, he's just so slow and he's so white. It's not going to work. He doesn't have the athletic ability. He got taken down by a can. Like, I don't know. Terrance McKinney's just athletically so much better than him. It's a short notice. Like, this is a complete don't overthink it. McKinney's finishing this guy. It's not a question. All right. So then we are going to go right along to Tainara Lisboa versus Ravena Oliveira.
Banger.
Oh, geez. This fight is kind of annoying to me. First of all, we need to chat ugly Australian women. Jess, she's number 2 for the ugly Australian women for sure in my mind. Weird fight to me. Watching it live, I was like, damn, this girl Lisboa is fucking great. And then watching it back, I was like, she's okay. She's fine. It's not great. And this girl, Ravena, looking at her Instagram, I think she's really mentally ill. And the reason that I say this is because she posted a highlight clip. I was hilarious. I was waiting for the highlight because the opponent throws like a hook or a jab or something and it like barely misses and she fires back but also misses her punch. And then the girl like misses a kick and she was like, "Don't fuck with me," or some kind of crazy caption. And I'm like, nobody landed even one strike in that full sequence. Like, where the fuck was the highlight? And when I see that kind of stuff, it concerns me, especially because I watched that entire fight and I actually was like, there's some decent moments here. She did some good things. She cracked this girl a bunch of times, but she isolated a 10-second clip where nobody landed one strike, at least clean. And I was like, this is bizarre. I mean, honestly, and this is going to sound crazy, with that clip, if I'm just choosing winners, I'm going to have to go Lisboa. Her Muay Thai is very clean and it's very good. The problem that we see here, and this actually reminds me of the Contender Series fight a few weeks ago, that girl Judas versus that really tall Lithuanian girl, whatever it was. I picked Judas in that fight pre-flop right on the podcast, but I said that girl is going to make things really sticky because her technique is so bad. A lot of times she overthrows and she just gets so close inside the distance. They're not staying at range and it just makes things really sticky and really heavy. And that's why women's MMA is not good for me, right? Because you're just horrible, but as long as you throw more, you're winning. It just sucks for me. I kind of see that happening here, where Lisboa is on the outside looking super sharp, super clean. She's checking kicks. She's returning fire, right? Very traditional Muay Thai and is very clean. I think they said she was a 17-time world Brazilian champion also, right? The girl Ravena is like kind of athletic and kind of throws hard. She's got better tape than a lot of the girls that have come into the UFC and looked amazing, right? Where they have horrible tape pre-UFC and they come in and just become world beaters. She's got better tape to me than a lot of those girls. Man, the price is huge. Like, I don't know. This is a weird fight for me. If I were just to bet this, I'd probably take the spread on Ravena. But if I'm choosing a winner, just purely winner, probably Lisboa. But for me, this is a huge pass. Just too many unknowns, too much coming into the UFC, too much of a sticky, weird, hangy fight style, just shitty all around. Lisboa hanging out on her back. And Ravena's able to get takedowns too. I hate this fight. I hate the price. I hate everything about it.
Yeah, man, I agree. I'm going to pick Tainara Lisboa. I'm not going to bet it, though. I'll just leave it alone. I've watched one fight of Ravena Oliveira. It was this fight against Sheila Amarel for Demo Fight 11. And I got to say, I was not impressed. So, yeah, I don't know, man. It just seems pretty unathletic to me. Striking, just kind of flailing punches around. I rewatched the Jessie Jess fight, and I thought Lisboa looked all right. She was landing good counters. Like, Jessica Rose Clark would come in and just, like, walk onto a right hand. She was getting cracked. She was hurting Jessie Jess. Takedown defense looked good. She did end up on her back in round 3, but then got up and, was able to take the back and finish with the choke in round 3, which I like to see round 3 finishes. I don't know. I think Lisboa should have her covered here. But to your point about where you're saying about what's her name, Ravena's highlight reel on Instagram, and you think she's mentally ill because she's just no one landed a punch. Like, that's how I feel every time Wiz Bets posts a heavy bag video on Twitter.
Shit. Oh shit! Nice.
I'm playing. He's sensitive.
I'm messing around. You're not.
But that's all I was thinking about when you're discussing her highlight reel, and I was like, "What the fuck did you show this for?" Like,
hey,
that's how I feel about his heavy bag work.
This is good too because we're very in touch with the MMA Twitter world, and Santino's not, right. He's a complete different planet, so we never really get to go there. Wizbet's bag work videos is awesome. This dude actually kind of inspired me. This kid, what's his name, New Jay or whatever on Twitter. He's always on Sean O'Malley. It cracks me up, guys that have zero training and they're just like fucking each other up in like an EOS, like no training, and you just get like some fat Indian dude and you're just like beating his ass. He's like 40 with the kids, and I'm like, this is just hilarious. So he like started jiu-jitsu, is taking it seriously now. For that, I'm proud. I like when people actually like try instead of. It's almost like a mockery of the shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here every day grinding, doing this stuff, and you're just fucking throwing 50 spinning wheel kicks. It doesn't make any sense. Just funny. Funny. All right. You know what? And I will say I'm like the mental illness master at this point. You know, bare knuckle, it's my bread and butter. It's just 95% mental illness. I mean, it has to be. So I knows it when I sees it. I just broke up with it. Okay. All right. Speaking of mental illness, or maybe just CTE, this is probably not mental illness. This is just too much damage to the head. So we have Darren Elkins versus TJ Brown. You're up on this one.
All right, man. I took the under 2.5 at plus 110. Every time Darren Elkins gets punched in the face, his face just opens up and he's bleeding everywhere. And it's like, is this fight going to get stopped? I think there's a good chance he's bleeding within 90 seconds and just like, I definitely would never play an over here, right? That would be sweaty as shit. But I think TJ Brown is the better fighter early just because Darren Elkins is, 38, 39 years old. He's been in a ton of wars. I love Darren Elkins, dude. Like, I actually considered betting his money line. I'll see what happens to the line. Plus 152. I probably need a little bit more than that. Only because I think TJ Brown probably wins round one. Although TJ Brown is super takedownable. And Darren Elkins is going to be diving on legs. I mean, Elkins had some wrestling success against Jonathan Pierce. My concern with the under or doesn't go the distance is the Pierce fight, where it's like, how the fuck did this go the distance? Elkins is bleeding all over the place. Pierce was taken down a couple times, but would reverse position, get on top, and just beat the shit out of Darren Elkins. He's just so tough, man. He's never going to quit on himself. And TJ Brown, but he's the opposite. Like, if Brown things are not going his way, he'll fall apart. I thought he looked pretty good against Bill Algeo, though. Like, he was landing some good shots. He was taking it to Bill Algeo, which we just saw him against Anthony Hernandez or Alex Hernandez, excuse me. And, Algeo kind of dog walked him. So I think Brown's a more athletic guy, better striker, probably. Yeah, I mean, Elkins is so slow on the feet. I don't know. I took 1 unit stab, doesn't go the distance. There's going to be a lot of blood. Brown melts. That's my stance. As a pick, I'll take Brown. I think Brown might just land a shot early, kind of like what Cub did, and Elkins just can't take the shots anymore. What do you think?
There's a few fights on this card where stylistically I know this is a horrible fight for them, but realistically they should still probably win. Like somebody like Darren Elkins is a nightmare matchup for TJ Brown, like a guy who is just going to grapple and doesn't fuck off, like a Shaolin Nerdenbecky, right? Those kind of guys. But the thing at the end of the day is Elkins is 38. He is probably the slowest man I've ever seen in my life. And you're right, he gets split open every fight. So I think if you're taking the under, you're almost just taking a bet on TJ Brown inside the distance. And the reason that I say that is because, love TJ or hate TJ, I think his jiu-jitsu is actually very good. It sounds weird to say that because he's a fucking bonehead and he makes horrible mistakes constantly. But technically, his jiu-jitsu is pretty solid. He does do a lot of things that I really like. So I don't really see Darren submitting him. On the feet, I mean, TJ Brown is way better than Elkins. I don't see Elkins tagging him or clipping. He's just too slow. His punches come way too wide. He's just too slow. So I almost think if you're going, under or inside the distance, it's just a bet on TJ Brown inside the distance. The thing with TJ is so annoying is the guy's got all the skills in the world. I mean, his striking legitimately, like you said, against Bill Algeo, I thought he did better against Bill than Alex did, and Alex is younger and he's out of camp and, whatever, tutelage of Magic MMA. I like TJ Brown. I think he's a very good kickboxer. I think when he wants to offensively grapple, his wrestling can be very good. His jiu-jitsu, I think, is very good. And just constantly, like you said, when it's not going his way, there's that split second where you can give that little extra hip over and hip heist and you can stand up, or you can just say, all right, fuck. And he constantly says, oh, fuck. Right. So I like TJ Brown. I just can't ignore the age, the speed, the striking, the actual technical abilities. It's really hard for me to ignore any of that. And you're right. Elkins might be a good play. I thought if he was in the plus 250 range, somewhere there. I'm surprised the line is as close as it is. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I have to go TJ Brown here. And TJ probably inside the distance as well.
Yeah, this would be a good one where I'm not going to be able to watch the fights on Saturday. I'm going to a comedy show. This would be a spot where I would take Brown knowing full well that he either gets a finish in round one or probably wins round one, probably hurts Elkins. And then if I need to, I would hedge off. Like that's a way I approach things. Like I took Alex Hernandez against Bill Algeo, thinking Algeo probably loses round 1. I kind of thought Hernandez would wrestle, but knowing that Hernandez will slow down and Bill Algeo usually his best round is round 2, and he's got a cardio freak, I would then take the other side. So that would be my approach here. But knowing I'm not going to be able to live bet, I'm just probably going to just take the under and pass from a money line perspective.
Who are you going to see Saturday?
Duncan Trussell.
Oh, nice. That's a good show. You know what? Last night I went to go see Pink in concert.
Nice.
Concert
How was that? Okay.
It was good, man. She's my cousin, like 5 times removed down the line, whatever. But every time she comes to town, I get these badass tickets. I was right next to the stage. She's amazing, man. And I love this trend now these days that the musicians, they don't do all the shitty songs on the new album. They just do the hits. I love that. Yeah, it's the best way to go about it. Yeah, good time, man. She had her daughter come out to sing a song, and I almost started crying. There's nothing that moves me more than music, man. And it's only because I can't do music. Watching fighting, I'm like, I could do that, or not that impressive, whatever. But music, I'm like, yeah, I have no business there, so it makes me very emotional. You have a daughter. Bro. I can imagine if your daughter came out busting, doing what. Imagine your daughter come out with some sharp bets, right? She's cleaning house.
Oh, dude.
You'd be so proud.
Cry the happiest tears ever. For sure.
So, well, maybe I need a daughter soon. All right, let's move on. I think we both hit that one. All right. Unfortunately, I'm not going to do this one either. So next up, we have my boy C-Rod versus Cameron Saaiman. Go ahead on this one.
I'm on C-Rod, bro, and it's not just because he's your boy. I'm a fan of C-Rod. Like, when I watched him fight Jonathan Pierce on short notice, and I rate Jonathan Pierce, I'm like, dude, this kid has something, Obviously, there is a massive, there is a grappling discrepancy here where C-Rod is the better grappler, better control grappler, better submission grappler. Cameron Saaiman gets taken down in all his fights. He was taken down by Terrance Mitchell. He's 22 years old. He's a good athlete. He is improving, Cameron Saaiman. But I'm on C-Rod for a unit and a half at -150, and that's kind of where the line is right now. Yeah, roughly -150 around the market. I know Clint. Your boy Clint is huge on C-Rod, 6.5 units. I hope he's not the mush of the week. I think it's a step up for Cameron Saaiman, and I think C-Rod in that Raul Rosas fight just showed a lot of people that this dude is a phenomenal grappler. And my favorite thing about him is he stays calm. Like, Raul Rosas is like the Tasmanian devil. He's like hell on wheels early. He's going to come at you super aggressive. And he's just like so chill in there. He's like, all right, it's like I'm in this position now, and it's just like I'm working my way out of a puzzle. And he just fucking works his way out, and he just never seems to get too high or too low in the fight. And he's gonna need that here because this fucker Cameron Saaiman pushes a crazy ass pace. Like, I was watching some Cameron Saaiman fights earlier, and I think he's a good prospect. I think he is very dynamic on the feet. He switches stances. He's never off balance. He's got a little pop, a little snap, and he's getting better. He's the kind of guy he's working hard, but I just think stylistically he's very takedownable, and I don't think C-Rod's a guy that you really want to be giving up grappling positions to. So I favor C-Rod. -150, I think there's value there. So that's where I'm at. But I think both guys are good, man. I think Simon's got a bright future. I just think this is a little too much too soon for him.
Oh, I'm so mad. I was just looking at my contender series bets. I was going to make 10,000 something if this last fucker won and he just lost. I didn't get the hedge out. It's because we're dedicated to the podcast. That's it. That's
man.
all we care about.
What it is.
Let me just say a couple things about C-Rod. So, one, yes, he's like stoic, like when he fights. And that's the thing that Santino kept talking about. And I had to, he was actually talking about Junior Cortez, right? Because Junior Cortez has been on Contender Series twice. And he goes, dude, what the fuck? We got the two opponents that just don't give a fuck about anything. Like, C-Rod just will stand there and he's just stoic and doesn't care. And the other dude's just batshit crazy talking to us while he's in a fist fight. It was like insane, right? He goes, we got the two best and most calm opponents of all time. He's like, that's horrible. Like, why can't we have one of these shitty guys, you know? Man, I've trained with C-Rod a lot. Like, a lot. You know, what's funny, he's actually studying for his fight. So studying for the Contender Series fight, that's why I became a big fan of C-Rod. I watched him fight Charlampos, right? And now everybody loves Charlampos. That's everybody's guy, Charlampos. Watch that fight. C-Rod breaks him down so technically. The thing that people forget is that C-Rod's not necessarily a grappler. Like, he's not a grappler. He can grapple, but his whole thing is striking. Like, listen how Paul Felder talks about C-Rod in the gym. C-Rod's gone with every single guy in the gym. I think he came here. He was beating up a lot of people. C-Rod is amazing. He's a Muay Thai guy. It's some crazy shit I've never seen before. He throws kicks like you don't see it, right? There's not like a lot of wind up. He just kind of arcs it and it lands behind your head. The dude breaks people down. He's got amazing eyes, amazing chin. He's so calm. It's scary, right? When you're swinging hard on somebody and they're just standing there just like this, it's a terrifying feeling because you're like, dude, this guy's not leaving me. He's not going away. I've grappled a lot of people. Jake Hadley came in last week. I did very well with Jake Hadley, and that dude's strong and probably weighs 160 pounds. You know, I've trained with a lot of guys. Heili, AQ, all these guys I've trained with. C-Rod has by far the heaviest hips I've ever experienced in my life. When I'm on bottom, there's not a lot of people I can't get up from. That dude has the heaviest hips I've ever felt. And his submissions legitimately are very, very, very good. His anaconda choke, I mean, I was pissed off for like 3 weeks. He kept submitting me with that. What the fuck's going on? I like Cameron Saaiman. I like the dude. I was sad that this fight got made because I wanted to keep, you know, cashing out on Cameron Saaiman fighting, you know, Alaska FC bums. And Steve Kozlow, right? But Kozlow was landing on him, making him panic wrestle. And then you have to go and try to hit those hips. And trust me, that's all I could do against C-Rod, right? Because he's fucking me up on the feet. I have to wrestle for my life. And even if you do take him down, he doesn't care. He just stands back up. And if you can't take him down, which is usually the case because he's got the heaviest hips ever, that's a really scary proposition, especially for someone who's 22 years old, right? You know, his Contender Series fight, he fought Josh Wayne Kim, another guy that's super close to camp. Josh is used to just steamrolling people. He's just so much technically better than everybody. He's never had to fight, you know, 2-3 rounds and go hard with somebody. So I think it's a really scary thing when you see somebody so calm, so talented, so good, and they just don't care. Whatever you do, they just don't care. I don't see Cameron getting a lot of takedowns on him. So now we're talking about a striking match, and who knows? Maybe C-Rod wrestles. Maybe that's the big secret. That's why you guys tune in. Offensively, but I would probably play C-Rod sub if I'm being honest. All right. Moving right up. I'm so fucking mad about this Contender Series. God damn it. Whatever. All right. Next up, we have Edgar Chairez versus Daniel Lacerda. I'll go on this one. I'll keep this short. We've given Lacerda enough chances. I think the dude is really talented. He's really skilled, but we've given him enough chances. You know, he took him down in the first round. I think he looked really good. I totally understand this as a value bet, but just for me, you know, I don't want much part of this one. I think this will be the first time we actually get over a round and a half maybe for him. But other than that, I'm kind of avoiding this fight altogether. I think Chairez is fine. I think I said this last time. He's very reactionary to what people do. He's willing to play on the outside and skirt the outside and counterpunch, whereas Lacerda is going to be in your face. I think this time we see over a round and a half. I don't see that same crazy submission coming this time. But, man, Lacerda, geez, this guy, I mean, how many more chances can he have? He's technically like 0-5 in the UFC. I had a bet on Lacerda that night and got super lucky that, you know, that one went and pushed. So I got nothing more to say on that one. What says you?
Yeah, I hear you, bro. Same. The only thing I would say, like, if people are taking the stab on Lacerda, I get it. I thought he looked okay. It's the first time we've seen him come out and not go complete rabies. Like, he seemed kind of like he was pacing himself. He was a little bit more under control. And then the number got much wider this time around. So if people are betting, it's dog or pass for me. I'll pick Chairez to win the fight, but I think if people are betting Lacerda, I get it, but I'm not interested at all.
You know what's funny is actually for that last fight, Santino was cutting weight in the sauna, right? Because he had a fighter on that card. Was cutting weight in the sauna with Lacerda, and he doesn't speak English. And Santino was like, "Dude, let's watch all your fights." And so him and Santino sat down together in the sauna, watching each and every single one of his fights. And he's like, "Dude, chill out." So I don't want to say it's because of Santino that Lacerda came out like a normal human being instead of just batshit crazy, but I'm not saying that either.
If he does it again, I could see that over 1.5 coming through. That's probably how I would play it, but.
All right. Now, I know you've been posting a little bit about this one, so I'm excited to hear your take. Next up, we have Michel Pereira versus Andre Petroski. Go ahead. What you got?
Yeah. Everyone I talk to is on Pereira, and I like Michel Pereira. I've won pretty good money on Michel Pereira. One thing I'll say is I don't think his UFC run has aged that well. Like I don't like his last win. Was like last May or something against a split decision over Santiago Ponzinibbio, who's great fighter, a little bit past his prime. I bet Andre Petroski today, and I think I bet him at plus 140, and I think it's even wider now. Petroski at plus 160 on Bet Online. Again, negative CLV is what it is. I think Pereira's getting steamed, and I don't get it. He's coming off this layoff. Let me see. When was his last fight? Ponzinibbio, May of 2022. So this is a layoff. That's why he's going up to middleweight. Before that, he wins a decision over Andre Fiallo, and then you have the Nico Price decision, and then a Chaos Williams decision. All these people who are sharp, who I trust and respect, are talking about like Pereira's going to walk through Petroski here. I think his finish equity is like way overvalued. His last finish, Michel Pereira, was against Zalim Imadaev in 2020, September of 2020. And then before that, he had that weird shit with Diego Sanchez and lost to Tristan Connolly. So I'm not that super, in hindsight, that impressed with his UFC run. But I've cashed tickets on him. So I like him. Obviously, he's a good striker. He was a huge welterweight, total sizable. He's moving up to middleweight. Now, if you look at his takedown defense, it's like, all right, it's hard. He's showing like a 90% takedown defense or something crazy, but like he's not fighting any wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I wanted to see where do we see this guy get taken down. Round 2, the end of round 2, Ponzinibbio shoots, gets a double, takes him down easy. Michel Pereira just turns, gives up his back, but there was like 15 seconds left in the round. It wasn't an issue, but Petroski, he's coming off a win, right? He didn't look good against Gerald Meerschaert, but Gerald Meerschaert has a way of making people look not that good sometimes. But he got the win. So he's coming off a decision win, and he takes this fight on short notice. Why? Why would he take this fight? Probably because he thinks he's going to fucking grapple the shit out of Michel Pereira. Otherwise, why would he take the fight? I don't understand. It's not like he needs to take a short notice fight. He probably was like, look, this seems like a good matchup. This dude hasn't fought in a year and a half. He's coming up from welterweight. I think I have a massive grappling edge here. He was in Thailand. I checked his Instagram. He was training in Thailand, whatever that's worth. Normally he's a Philly guy, training with all those studs down in Philly. I like Petroski here. Not a massive conviction. I'm not like laying multiple units on it, but I don't understand the Pereira steam or the Pereira love. Now, Pereira doesn't have the best cardio. People want to talk about Petroski's cardio, which I totally get. Pereira can gas out. He a year and a half layoff, he might have got up to like 230. He might miss weight coming down to middleweight. He's going to be big as fuck at middleweight too. But I'm not sold that he's going to have a cardio advantage, Michel Pereira. So that's where I'm at. I feel like I'm on an island here with Petroski, but I got to go with my gut and what I see on tape, and I think that Michel Pereira, it's a very binary fight. I'm going to take the grappler. What do you think?
I've been back and forth on this because I want to address just a couple of things that you just said, right? So the cardio-wise, right? So first of all, he wasn't just off for a year and a half. He had scheduled fights he missed weight for and had to drop out like week of for the fight. So it's not like he hasn't been training, just chilling on his couch and doing nothing. Like he has been trying to fight, but obviously missing weight. Now, going from 170 to 185 is the biggest jump in the whole UFC, right? I mean, that's, I guess, other than light heavy to heavy, but that's a huge jump. I mean, that's massive. Or I'm sorry, middleweight to light heavy. I think 15 extra pounds is going to do him well. just cardio-wise. Because I know what you're saying, right? He gassed out in the Nico Price fight. I was on the edge of my seat. Like, is Nico fucking Price going to win this fight? It was crazy to me. So I'm with you, and I see everything that you're saying. The problem that I have here is the lateral movement. Petroski is a really good wrestler when you're standing in front of him and when you can get the respect, when he gets the respect with the hands, right? He throws these big meat hook overhands and then he blast doubles you, right? Or he hook the single leg and run the pipe and he chain wrestles really well. I saw you posting. First of all, I love your little passive aggressive clips. Like sometimes I have to watch them and go, who the hell does he think is going to win here? Like, I don't understand them sometimes. I have to like watch it like 10 times. Like, I still don't fucking get it. Like, all right. But I can see a world where that happens, right? Petroski takes him down round 1, and Petroski's top game is good. He's one of the few guys that actually can blend wrestling with jiu-jitsu very, very well. Like, I really do rate his jiu-jitsu very, very high. But his striking is just so horrible. It's just so bad to me. And not that Pereira's amazing. And the reason that I say Pereira's not amazing, he doesn't stick anything. He's always constantly moving, and he's never set. He's never putting a stamp on his strikes or his punches. And it drives me a little bit crazy. But he's always throwing things to the body, right? He's always filling the space with something. And he constantly has that lateral movement. Honestly, those two things, just the body work, I guess I didn't even consider the size and moving up a weight class. I think he's going to have a lot more gas than he was at 170. I think I have to go Pereira here. And it's not because I don't like Petroski. I can see a path to victory for him too. I think he's going to have a lot tougher time finding these takedowns because, Hugh Yaozong, I'm the biggest Hugh Yaozong fan in the world, but he just stands and plods right in front of him. This is going to be the first time he has a guy that's actually circling the cage and moving. So for me, it's Michel Pereira. Next up, we have Jonathan Martinez versus Adrian Yanez. I will go on this one. I really wanted to like Yanez here. In my mind, Yanez crashes the pocket and he smothers kicks and he goes heavy with a heavy boxing game plan. But watching his fight against watching his fight against Tony Kelly and Randy Costa, he kind of stays at range, right? He swings those kicks and he counters off the kicks, but he does stay at range. He's not really crashing pockets. And when he did crash the pocket the one time against Rob Font, he got knocked out. Honestly, and Santino says this every time, and I kind of agree with him. Yanez is small. He's a 25er that just fights 35. I don't think he wants a huge cut. He's not very big. He's my height, and honestly, I might be thicker than Yanez is. So the dude has balls. He can fucking fight. His hands are super fast. But I look at this and I'm looking at Jonathan Martinez, and I really wanted to bet Yanez here. I love Jonathan Martinez's game. Everyone is going to go crazy on him for the chin. And that is a very valid concern, especially if Yanez starts countering these kicks and lighting him up. But I just see a way more complete fighter in Martinez. I think if he needed to, he could big body Yanez, right? If he needed to go to the grappling, I really think that he could. His kicks are beautiful. His range management's awesome. And honestly, strength of schedule, I don't really even think is that close. Yanez lost to Rob Font. He fought Tony Kelly, who, Tony's a good striker, but whatever. Davey Grant, fine. Randy Costa's Randy Costa, right? And then Gustavo Lopez, Victor Rodriguez. I don't rate that very high as opposed to Jonathan Martinez, who's fighting, old Cub Swanson, but still Cub, and he finished him. Saeed, who I think is very good. Vince Morales, who, probably beats most of those guys. That's on Yanez's thing. Lavashili, whatever. That dude's a tough fucking guy. Thomas Almeida, Frankie Saenz, who I trained with for a long time. I don't know. I think that he's got a more complete body of work, more complete MMA game. And if Yanez is not crashing the pocket, I think he's going to get his legs chewed. He's really going to have to counter. And honestly, even just the damage thing. You talked about Elkins earlier. Every single Yanez fight, the dude's nose gets busted right off the jump, and that has to weigh into it at least a little bit in terms of judging. Martinez's hands are very underrated. They're not bad when he does actually throw. He just doesn't throw that much. He's all kicks. But I like the size of Martinez here. I like the kicks here. I would have been much happier with Yanez if I saw him crashing the pocket and really closing that distance. But he stays at range far too much for my liking. I think Jamar is gonna pick him apart just a bit here.
Yeah, man, good breakdown. I do think it's a close fight. I did bet Yanez. I think it's a buy low spot on him. like if the Rob Font fight didn't happen, obviously it did happen, right? But had it not happened, I think Yanez is like minus 200 here. I bet him at plus 100, right? So pick 'em odds. I bet Saeed Nurmagomedov against Jonathan Martinez. Close fight. Bad bet for sure, but I've scored it for Nurmagomedov. It's the same thing with Gutierrez for me, and they're obviously super close friends, and they train together. They have very similar styles.
Yeah.
They're phenomenal kickers. Phenomenal kickers. And Martinez, to your point, I think does have good hands. When he, like, sometimes lets his hands go, he's got good hands. He just doesn't do it. You know, he wants to stay on the outside, throw kicks. Phenomenal kicker. But I think Yanez, I don't know. I just favor his boxing a lot more. Like the two guys he had some trouble with. Well, he had a little trouble with Davey Grant. Obviously, that was a close fight. But I think of the long jab from Randy Costa really gave him trouble in round one. And then, you know, the hands of Rob Font. Just, you know, Martinez doesn't really work behind a jab like that. He doesn't really throw his hands as much. So I don't know. It's like low kicks, body kicks versus boxing combinations. It's a close fight. I did bet Yanez, and I also bet Yanez by decision plus 400. Feels a little bit wide to me there too. And I also bet an over. I bet over 2.5 plus 120. Basically, I'm fading a Martinez finish. So
which I think
if
is
this
fine.
goes
Yanez is tough,
over,
dude.
I'll be all right.
Yeah, I like that play
So
because Yanez is tough, dude. I think that last fight was kind of a bad look. And also, Rob Font's massive, man. You know, I hear people that are close to Rob Font say that dude walks at like 180 pounds. And like I said, Yanez is my size. So just the size of the hands and just the power is not a good look. It's hard. These are the kind of matchups, right? Those 2.5s. When it's two guys that are just going to stand and trade, you're clenching your cheeks the whole time, but they're both so high level and so good. Like it is going to cash, but you're nervous the entire time, just slamming each other with kicks. I like, man. I would.
And I also
Yanez.
Just on tape, and I did post some clips of this, not a ton, but I actually don't hate Yanez's like kick defense. Like he counters off of kicks pretty well. Like so, Martinez as a southpaw, that body kick's going to be there for him against orthodox Adrian Yanez. But he sees that, he parries, and he comes with that left hook behind it, like kind of like Jorge Masvidal would do. I kind of like how he counters off of kicks. So I don't know. I just saw some things that I think he's going to be able to land on Martinez, but it's not not with much conviction. Good fight, though. Good matchup.
Yeah, that sequence you're talking about. So I was looking at that with Tony Kelly, and I've trained with Tony Kelly a lot too. The dude is an excellent kickboxer. He really is a phenomenal kickboxer. And every time, and this is funny you said that because it's the one thing I was hanging on to too, Tony Kelly would switch to the southpaw and then throw that head kick. And I just haven't seen that before where Yanez was blocking it up high and then swinging it through and then countering so quickly off of that. The only thing I think is a difference with Jamar and Tony Kelly is that Jamar mixes up his kicks. It's not all head kicks. He'll throw low 3 times and then he'll throw it to the body and then to the head. And he does a really good kick selection, whereas Tony Kelly was kind of fighting for his life and he was like, this is my last resort. I have to do this. But, man, I love Yanez. I hope he wins here because I like him just as a fighter. He's so game. He's so in your face. His hands are beautiful. I hope he wins, and you might be convincing me to that side. The size bothers me, and then Jamar being able to grapple with Saeed a little bit was a little bit weird for me because we haven't really seen much of Yanez grappling. All right, we're in the home stretch. We're on the co-main event, and this is the one I'm super excited for. So we have Jennifer Maia and Vivi Araujo. What do you got on this one?
No bet. I'm gonna pick Maia to win. It's weird with Vivi because I thought she actually looked really good against Alexa Grasso over 5 rounds. I had bet Grasso there, and Grasso won the fight, but I didn't like Vivi's cardio didn't fall off a cliff in that fight. But then sometimes she fights in her cardio, she just falls off a cliff. Like she did not look good against Amanda Ribas at all. So it's weird. It's like which Vivi's going to show up. I think Jennifer Maia is, she's solid, man. She's very solid. If you look at her losses, she lost to Manon Farrow. That's excusable. Caitlin Chukagian, Val, right? But that's it. Like, that's it. She lost to Chuk twice, Val, and Manon Farrow. So it's coming off a win over Marina Miraz, and then your girl Casey King O'Neill.
All right, relax.
I think the line's pretty accurate. Maybe a little bit of value on Jennifer Maia, but again, Vivi probably has a good round one. So, but I'm just gonna pass here. I don't know. What do you think?
I think I actually like Maia a ton here, and the reason I like Maia a ton here, I watched the KGB Lee fight again, right, with Vivi, and I remember again in my head, it's very different, right? In my head, I was like, oh, she dominated KGB in that whole fight, just destroyed her bell to bell. But we forget she got rocked within the first minute was hell for her. She got rocked and dropped and almost finished. And then she came back wrestling and ended up winning that fight. Then she fights Grasso, fine. And then she fights Hebos is just awkward and clunky and just kind of a horrible striker, but makes it work for herself. And it was a weird grappling approach and all that kind of stuff. The thing with Vivi that just throws me off is she's probably like the most athletic specimen in the whole UFC. Like, she's the coolest looking fighter for sure. Like I don't know. I'm so sexually attracted to her. She kind of looks like a man. She's awesome looking, and how she boxes and everything she does. She's so cool. But she just kind of like you say with TJ Brown, it seems like she kind of wilts at a certain point when she decides that she's not in control of the fight. That's it for her. And Maia just is like, she has just short-term memory, right? She can lose a round and she go back and right back to it. The Casey O'Neill fight was actually super impressive for me, and I'm not just blowing smoke. Casey throws high volume and she's pressing constantly. And the way that Maia was able to fill the space with so many punches, and she's constantly rolling her head and slipping out and moving and lateral movement, was super, super impressive to me. Honestly, for me, I think a Vivi win has to be grappling, right? We've seen Maia lay on her back for long periods of time. I think a Vivi win has to be a wrestling grappling game plan. Whereas if Vivi doesn't take it there, now we're striking. I favor the boxing and the volume of Maia far more, right? And like you said, we don't know what we're getting with Vivi. Is she going to gas in the round, or is she got 5 hard ones in her? It doesn't ever make sense. Honestly, just momentum, consistency, volume. I like Jennifer Maia here, and honestly, the price is good enough for me to jump on it a little bit. All right,
Main event, bro.
Main event. We made it, man. I can't believe it. We have Super Sadiq Yusuff and Edson Barboza. Again, you're the guest. I will give you. Go ahead on the main event here. I like this one a fair bit.
Yeah, man, great fight. It's early in the week, right? So we're recording this on Tuesday night. I think I'll probably have a play on the fight by Saturday. I don't currently have anything. It's tough, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Like, 2 really phenomenal strikers gonna have a high level kickboxing fight in a small cage. I'm kind of leaning Edson Barboza as the money line side. Obviously, Barboza's the seasoned veteran here, and he's taken a lot of damage, and sometimes he gets hit in the face and he just falls over, like Bryce Mitchell or like a Donald Cerrone jab. And like, sure, Sadiq Yusuff can crack a little bit. He could hit him and hurt him and just beat the shit out of him. But I don't know. I just, Barboza is still fucking really good, really dynamic. He's a phenomenal kicker. Sadiq Yusuff, what worries me is the layoff, right? So he's not very active, which part of maybe that's baked into the line here because people forget how good he is. But his last win was a 30-second guillotine choke against Don Shainis about a year ago, right? So then I guess he said, I listened to an interview of his, and he herniated 2 discs in his back, L4 and L5. And so he's really hasn't been, he's kind of been on the shelf. That's when he got this YouTube thing going, and he's a character. He's got a good personality. He's, I like the guy. I like his style. And then before that, he shows a win over Alekseeva by decision in March of 2022. And then he lost to Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen's a very good fighter. So to me, his last good win is Andre Fili in 2020. The Don Shainis guillotine and the Alekseeva decision, like, this is a different level. Now, it doesn't mean that Sadiq Yusuff isn't going to win the fight. I don't know. To bet him as a favorite here over 5 rounds, Edson Barboza obviously slows down, especially against grapplers. I don't know if we're anticipating much grappling here. I think Barboza's the side. Like, I know Pepe is on him. I don't know if I'll bet him or not. It's early in the week. I'll do a little more tape, a little more research, and I'll see what I'm thinking. But I don't like the layoff for Sadiq, and I don't know. Barboza's he's 36, about to be 37 in November. He's 37. I don't know. I think Barboza's the side for me, but I'm curious to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing, and I've been back and forth with it all week. Again, if I could know the game plan of these people, it would change how I feel drastically. And I say that because Sadiq, I think, he's a very, very good grappler. Really, really good grappler. He's so fast, so athletic. Like, he shoots great takedowns, good top control. I love his grappling. If we're just talking about a striking match here, and kind of like what you just said, you're like, I anticipate not much grappling. If that's the case, I like Edson a lot more. Sadiq is very good, but everything is really wide with him. It's always like wide strikes and countering jabs with overhands. He's always been a superior kicker to everybody he's been fighting. Well, now you have the most superior kicker in the fight promotion. Everything is so sharp and so clean and so technical with Edson. He almost reminds me of like a Bernard Hopkins, right? He's 37, but he's always taking care of his body. So much so that it's not really like he's 37. I mean, he's been through wars and had a lot of fight time, but the dude is in just phenomenal shape. This is tough for me. I think over 5 rounds, that's the only reason I would pick Sadiq here. I think Sadiq is going to probably feel the leg kicks. He's going to feel the disadvantage in the striking and understand that he has to wrestle. And like I said, if you're telling me pure kickboxing match, I'm on Edson every day of the week. But I think Edson's time has come. I think he's going to get worn out over 5 rounds, and I think Sadiq is going to wrestle. And, we saw that in the last fight. Billy Q is an awesome fighter because he's just a dog on a bone and just doesn't die. But technically, he's like awful, right? His striking is horrible. His wrestling's horrible, but he just doesn't quit. And, he got in on the legs on Edson and just couldn't finish it. And I'm watching that going, if that was Sadiq's getting him down 100%, just on sheer athleticism and youth. Man, it's a really tough one. And I hate to be the guy that picks all favorites. And I promise you, I just choose who I think is going to win. And age considered, just athletic ability considered, and styles wise, I like Sadiq here. I think Sadiq can probably hang a little bit on the feet, although he'll get tagged up. And that's when I would like to see him start grappling. So for me, it's going to be Sadiq, but I don't hate an Edson play at all. I'm probably not going to touch it. Just sit back and enjoy.
Yeah, it's going to be a great fight, bro. Charles Oliveira is out of his fight with Islam Makhachev. Did you see that?
I just saw that right now. And is Volk filling in?
That's what it looks like.
Wow. Volk has the biggest balls of anybody ever. The guy's amazing. I know. He's seriously I
know. I mean, I like this rematch better than the Oliveira rematch personally. But I get the argument about like we want to see Volk fight Topuria and you're holding up 2 divisions. But yeah, I don't know, wanted to bring that up because that's big news in our world.
Did you think Charles had a chance in the second fight?
He's always got a chance. He's so dangerous. I was huge on Islam the first time around at like minus 160. We weren't getting that number again.
No, it was such a crazy line.
But I think Islam fucks him up probably again.
Man, I think Islam probably lost a little bit of his confidence after that last fight.
After Volk?
A little bit. A little bit of the allure, a little bit of the shine was taken away from him, I think. And Charles, after that knockout of Dariush, I don't know. I get these weird feelings sometimes. Like everything on tape told me Islam, and anybody who honestly was on Charles that first fight kind of lost my respect a little bit. Not for anything more than I was like, it doesn't even make sense why he'd be on Charles here. But this fight gave me a weird feeling. I was like, man, I think Charles might actually be able to do it this time. And maybe it's just me falling for it. But sadly, Islam probably just drowns Volk again, even though Volk's my favorite fighter and I love him so much. And I bet him at plus 300. It's not a bad line on the greatest fighter of all time. But it'd be fun. Can't wait for next week then.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Yo, thanks for having me on, bro. It was a good time.
Man, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. This is our first time doing the remote, but like from the studio, so I love it. Thanks for being patient. Guys, I'm going to be in Vegas this week, so if any of you guys want to roll, let's go to 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu on Sunday. Let's roll. Come find me. We're going to celebrate the C-Rod win, 100%. And, man, thanks for coming. Anything else you want to plug? Cumbo Capital?
Combo Capital will make its return at some point. Look out for it in 2024, taking over.
All right. A lot of things are going to happen.
And enjoy your what's that?
I said a lot of good things are going to happen in 2024, so it's I can't wait. It's all a waiting game.
Hell yeah.
All right, man. Well, have a good holidays. I know those are coming up soon. Thanks for joining us. All right, that's it, guys.
All right, bro.
This week.
Good stuff. Good luck on your bets, everybody. Like and subscribe.